Hello, Cloud Dwellers. As part of our ongoing Marketing Cloud CERT review, we're back today to explore another question that has to do with data automation. This time, we're defining ways that users can be injected into a Journey Builder journey. Let's check it out. This week's question asks, what is a typical entry source for a Journey Builder journey? Now, what this is asking is, how do people get injected into a journey to begin with? Well, first of all, let's start by reminding ourselves what Journey Builder is. And Journey Builder is actually a metaphor at the end of the day that allows us to be able to have a conversation with people. It allows us to identify the best people to have the different conversations with along the way. And it really is just a communications tool. So when we inject somebody into a journey, it's usually because there's something specifically we want to talk to them about. Maybe it's based on something they've done. Maybe it's based on something we hope that they'll do in the future. Now, when we talk about entry sources, there are a number of entry sources available to us, including things like an API call. So you're outside of Marketing Cloud, you sign up for an event, or you purchase a product, and a message comes into Marketing Cloud saying, hey, this person has just signed up for a webinar. Maybe it's 4 o'clock in the morning, but we still want to get back to them as quickly as we can and say, hey, thank you so much for setting up for our webinar at 4 o'clock in the morning. So an API call would handle the request coming in, and Marketing Cloud would then send the message out to that person. And then we have things like audience, has to do with basically pulling together a mobile audience, Cloud Pages, which allows us to create landing pages inside of Marketing Cloud. And then data extensions, which is really probably the most popular choice as an entry source within Journey Builder, which allows us to pull together a targeted audience of people we want to have these conversations with. Event is legacy. It's been sunsetted, so we don't need to talk about it. And then there's a few things that have to do with things that might be happening on mobile devices, whether it's in an app or a push message of some sort or some sort of a chat that's happening. It's really just a way of responding to things that people are doing. And if we had Marketing Cloud Connect installed, which would allow us to listen for things that are happening on the Salesforce side of things and Salesforce CRM, then we could listen for things like, did a case get closed? And did somebody, convert a deal of some sort? We could respond to those things. All right. So it's really about finding an audience that's doing something that we can respond to. So we get back to our questions and our answers here. The first answer is offering up a static HTML form. Well, a static HTML form is basically just a form that you might fill out online. And the fact that it's saying static means it's not dynamic. It's not even wired into anything. It's really just a form you would fill in and probably print out. So there's not a lot going on there. So is that a great way to get somebody into a journey? Not so much. So we're going to say a static HTML form, not a good choice. The B answer is offering up a data extension or an API event. Well, that kind of tracks with what we just talked about, and that these are both possible audiences to be injected into a journey. So let's hold on to that one. And let's move to answer number C, which is saying a scheduled automation studio query. Well, is this a possible thing? Well, if we talk about Automation Studio, can we create a query, which is basically a little robot that will run us some code for us? So the answer is yes. We can go out and create a SQL query. And then we can put our code in here that says, I want you to grab this data from these locations and sort it out. And I even can ask you to put this data into a data extension for us. But that's where it ends. I'm putting it into a data extension to store the data, but it is in no way a trigger to make anything happen in Journey Builder. So the answer, once again, if we get back into here, it's going to be, yeah, a scheduled automation studio query, not an option for us. And then finally for D, it's asking or offering an answer of an email send definition. Well, when we talk about an API call, for example, when somebody signs up for something on our website in the middle of the night and that request comes in as an API call, right? That's some code that says somebody's just done this. Here's the data I've collected on them, and it brings it into Marketing Cloud. In order to respond, Marketing Cloud needs to know how to respond. What email am I sending back? How am I personalizing this email, etc. And that, in this case, is what an email send definition is. It's the instruction sheet that tells Marketing Cloud how to respond to a trigger, in this case, based upon something somebody has done. So while it's a great tool that allows us to communicate back with an event, it's not something that's directly corresponding to what's happening in Journey Builder. So not the answer. So once again, if we go back and peek at this, it's going to be a data extension or API event, which is going to be our correct answer. To explore other questions and answers surrounding Marketing Cloud certification and mastery, please subscribe to this channel, and we'll drop a new question for you to check out every week. Also, this question was taken directly from our new and free certification quiz featuring 125 practice questions covering the Email Specialist Certification Exam. If this sounds like something that you could use, simply go to blueclouduniversity.com and click on the CERT Prep tab to get started. Thanks for dropping by. I'll see you again next time.